What if the most fundamental part of your identity, the way you perceive and act, is the only thing keeping your old reality alive? I'm not talking about bad habits or simple negative thoughts. I'm talking about the observer effect shutdown, where the unconscious focus of your attention literally keeps the pattern of financial scarcity, predictable failure, and emotional exhaustion locked in place. This is the insidious, hidden mechanism of suffering that operates beneath the surface of your conscious awareness, silently directing the course of your life through invisible quantum pathways. Every time you worry about the debt, you execute the collapse point for that debt reality. Every time you fear the relationship will end, you collapse that separation into your physical experience. Every time you feel the familiar anxiety about your health, your career, your worthiness, you are sending a powerful quantum signal into the field of infinite possibility, telling it exactly which reality to materialize for Dashri. Your awareness, the most potent force in the cosmos, is the energetic glue that holds your suffering together. It's the invisible architecture that constructs your limitations, brick by brick, thought by thought, fear by fear. Think about this deeply for a moment. Your consciousness is not a passive observer of reality. It is the active creator of it. The distinction is everything. You are not simply witnessing your life unfold. You are authoring it with every microsecond of attention you invest. And here's the devastating truth that most people never realize. You have been investing your attention in the wrong portfolio. You have been funding your fears with the currency of consciousness, and the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, has been faithfully delivering exactly what you've been focusing on. Today, we initiate the shutdown protocol for the old reality. This isn't self-help. This is quantum demolition. This is the systematic dismantling of every pattern, every belief, every unconscious program that has been running your life on autopilot. You have been systematically programmed to look for proof of limitation, to scan your environment for evidence that confirms your deepest fears, to collect data points that validate your smallness. But this transmission reveals the precise scientific mechanism you can use to withdraw your consciousness and kill the old reality instantly. The barrier between you and the abundance you deserve is about to be dissolved by one moment of radical, conscious, known observation. The financial ceiling you keep hitting, the relationship failures that persist, the feeling that you are constantly fighting for what should be effortless. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't karma. It wasn't punishment from a judgmental universe. It was the universe reporting your quantum decoherence frequency. This frequency is the static, the noise, the misalignment that has kept the greatest possibilities just out of reach. For years, perhaps decades, you have been vibrating at the level of the problem rather than the level of the solution. And that, my friend, is exactly what your life has faithfully reflected. Your external circumstances are not the cause of your internal state. They are the effect of it. They are the printout, the physical manifestation, the three-dimensional hologram of your dominant frequency. When you understand this at the deepest level, when you truly grasp that your reality is not happening to you but through you, everything changes. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the conscious architect of your experience. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop looking outside yourself for salvation and recognize that the power has always been within you, waiting to be activated. What I am about to share with you represents the final test before breakthrough. You see, there's a specific frequency that less than 1% of people ever tune into. This frequency is the master key to collapsing potential into permanence. It's the vibrational signature of certainty, the energetic code of manifestation, the quantum password that unlocks the gates of infinite possibility. And if you're engaging with this right now, if these words are resonating in your bones, if something deep within you is saying, yes, this is what I've been searching for, then you've already passed the preliminary screening. powerful institutions have worked for millennia, from the deliberate destruction of ancient knowledge to the calculated suppression of modern quantum discoveries, to keep this fundamental truth hidden. The Library of Alexandria wasn't just burned. It was strategically eliminated because it contained the keys to consciousness mastery that would make human beings ungovernable, uncontrollable, unlimited. The mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, Tibet, and India were systematically dismantled not because they were wrong, but because they were dangerously right. The old reality is merely the predictable outcome of an observer effect shutdown, where you allowed external programming to dictate where you place your attention. Every advertisement, every news broadcast, every limiting belief inherited from well-meaning but unconscious parents, every societal expectation about what's possible for someone like you, all of it has been programming your observation patterns, telling you where to look, what to focus on, what to believe is real. This transmission is the final act of defiance. The question is, are you ready to become the conscious observer powerful enough to kill the patterns that bind you? Are you ready to stop being the effect and become the cause? Are you ready to stop waiting for permission from the external world and start granting yourself the authority to create the life you came here to live? Most people spend their entire lives waiting for external validation that their dreams are materializing. They search for signs in their bank account, in their relationships, in their circumstances. They wake up every morning and immediately check their phone, their email, their bank balance, looking for evidence that something has changed, that their manifestations are finally arriving, that the universe has finally decided to favor them. They are waiting for the external world to change before they grant themselves permission to feel peace, joy, or certainty. They live their lives backwards, believing that proof must precede belief, when the universal law states that belief must always precede proof. They think, I'll be happy when I have the money. I'll feel worthy when I meet the partner. I'll be confident when I lose the weight. I'll be peaceful when the circumstances align. This is the grand illusion. This is the trap that keeps billions of people locked in cycles of perpetual waiting, perpetual striving, perpetual disappointment. They are operating from the wrong end of the creative equation. They are trying to change the reflection without changing what stands before the mirror. They are trying to harvest crops without planting seeds. They are demanding results while broadcasting lack. Yet, through every delay, every closed door, every moment of seeming emptiness, they miss the universal message. The void before manifestation is not absence. It's preparation. It's the quantum field reorganizing itself, rearranging atoms and circumstances, coordinating people and events, aligning resources and opportunities, all in perfect orchestration to deliver your desire in a way that's sustainable, that's aligned, that's for your highest good. The universe is not withholding from you. It's preparing for you. Every delay is divine timing. Every detour is divine direction. Every disappointment is divine protection from something that wasn't truly aligned with your expanded self. You've reached what quantum physicists call the collapse point, the moment when infinite possibilities collapse into singular reality. This is not metaphorical language. This is literal quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. Every moment you've chosen faith over fear, every time you've held your vision when circumstances suggested you should abandon it, every instance you've chosen love over judgment, expansion over contraction, trust over control, all of these choices have brought you to these exact coordinates in space and time. You are standing at the event horizon of your own becoming. This is the point of no return, where the inertia of the old timeline is finally overcome by the magnetic pull of your expanded potential. Just as a spacecraft approaching a black hole reaches a point where the gravitational pull becomes irresistible, where return to the old orbit becomes impossible, you have reached that point in your own consciousness evolution. The old version of you, the one who doubted, who played small, who accepted limitation as inevitable, is dying. And death, even the death of what no longer serves us, can feel uncomfortable. Your ego mind may be generating resistance right now, creating doubt, manufacturing reasons why this doesn't apply to you, why your situation is different, why you should protect yourself from disappointment by not fully believing. This resistance is not your enemy. It is simply the old identity's survival mechanism, the last gasp of a dying paradigm, the final test before transformation. Welcome it, acknowledge it, thank it for trying to keep you safe, and then gently, powerfully, choose to move forward anyway. In quantum mechanics, particles and your desires exist in superposition until they're observed. They exist in all possible states simultaneously: health and sickness, wealth and scarcity, love and isolation, all existing in a vast, energetic library of possibility, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be collapsed into form by the power of conscious observation. This isn't New Age wishful thinking. This is established quantum physics, confirmed by thousands of experiments, including the famous double-slit experiment that proves beyond doubt that the act of observation literally changes physical reality. When scientists observe an electron, it behaves as a particle. When they don't observe it, it behaves as a wave of probability. The electron is literally in all places simultaneously, until consciousness collapses it into a specific location. Your consciousness is the library's flashlight. Where you shine your attention determines which book the universe pulls off the shelf and hands to you as your lived experience. The problem is that 99% of observation is unconscious observation. You are unconsciously observing the lack in your bank account, scrolling through it multiple times per day, feeling the contraction in your chest as you see the low number. You are unconsciously observing the tension in your relationship, replaying yesterday's argument, anticipating tomorrow's conflict. You are unconsciously observing the pain in your body, scanning for symptoms, Googling worst-case scenarios, building a case for your limitations. And by doing so, you are executing the collapse point command for the old reality, telling the universe with crystal clarity, more of this, please. I want to experience more lack, more tension, more pain. Here is where my attention goes. So here is what I'm asking you to create more of. This concept is key, and I need you to really absorb this into your cellular structure. Your reality is not manufactured. It is observed into being. Reality is not a fixed, objective thing that exists independent of you. Reality is a fluid, responsive field of infinite potential that takes its shape from the form of your attention. You are not separate from reality. You are the consciousness through which reality experiences itself. The solution is elegantly simple, though not necessarily easy. Withdraw your observation from the old reality, starving it of the attention it needs to exist. This is the observer effect shutdown. When you cease feeding the old pattern with the energy of your attention, it decoheres. It loses coherence. It dissolves back into the infinite potential field, freeing up the energy to collapse the new pattern. Just as a fire cannot burn without oxygen, an unwanted reality cannot persist without attention. Your fear has been feeding it. Your worry has been watering it. Your obsessive checking and rechecking has been giving it the energy it needs to remain solid in your experience. Stop. Redirect. Choose differently. This understanding is ancient. The Egyptian mystery schools understood that breath and presence were the keys to unlocking consciousness chambers. They knew that by resting in the silence, what they called the silence of Ra, you access the field of infinite potential that exists in every stillness moment. They weren't engaging in superstitious ritual. They were practicing advanced consciousness technology that modern science is only now beginning to understand. They were training in accessing the quantum gap. Concealed in the space between your breaths exists a 0.3-second window where you can literally rewire your reality. Modern neuroscience has confirmed this. In the gap between breaths, brainwave patterns shift, the default mode network quiets, and you enter a state of heightened suggestibility where new neural pathways can be formed with minimal resistance. You encounter the quantum gap, the space where all true power lives, where the linear moment dissolves into the eternal now. In this gap, you are not bound by past or future. You are not limited by history or circumstance. You are pure potential, pure consciousness, pure creative power. The Egyptians knew this. The yogis knew this. The Taoists knew this. Now, you know this. Your physical body is not just flesh and bone. It is the inner temple. Just as ancient civilizations constructed magnificent temples to house the divine, the pyramids of Egypt, the temples of Greece, the cathedrals of Europe, you must build an inner sanctuary, not with stone and mortar, but with breath and awareness. Your body is the sacred space where spirit meets matter, where consciousness takes physical form, where the infinite expresses itself through the finite. Ancient Egyptians mapped the human body as a living temple with energy centers corresponding to different consciousness chambers. What they called the Jed pillar aligns perfectly with what yogic traditions call the chakra system and what modern science recognizes as the central nervous system and endocrine network. They knew that these energy centers weren't metaphorical. They were actual energetic vortices that regulate the flow of life force through your system. They knew that conscious breathing could actually restructure the energy template of your physical form, turning the chaotic biophotons into coherent light emissions. Modern biophysics has now confirmed this. The human body emits biophotons, particles of light produced by cells. In states of coherence, achieved through conscious breathing, meditation, and elevated emotion, these photon emissions become coherent, like laser light rather than scattered light from a flashlight. This coherence literally changes your electromagnetic signature, which changes how you interact with the quantum field. The distinction between automated breathing and conscious breathing is awareness. You take approximately 20,000 breaths per day. If even a fraction of those breaths are conscious, intentional, infused with presence, you begin to reclaim your power from the unconscious autopilot that has been running your life. Every conscious breath no longer merely sustains life. It sustains alignment. It reaffirms your connection to Source. It resets your frequency. It brings you back to center. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Your mind is probably generating a dozen reasons why this doesn't apply to you. Why your situation is different. Why you have been waiting too long for this to be true. Why you've tried everything and nothing has worked. Why you're too old or too young or too damaged or too far behind. This internal questioning is the voice of the contracted self, the persona that learned to survive through limitation, the identity that built walls around your heart to protect you from disappointment. It is the last dying cry of the old reality trying to pull you back into its illusion of safety and predictability. And make no mistake, the old reality will fight for its survival. It will use every weapon in its arsenal: doubt, cynicism, past failures, other people's opinions, societal conditioning, fear of looking foolish, fear of hoping too much, only to be disappointed again. This resistance is not your enemy. In fact, it's a positive sign that you're approaching something real, something transformative, something that threatens the status quo of your limited self-concept. It is the final guardian at the gate, testing whether you are truly ready to step into the next octave of your existence. Every hero's journey includes this moment of ultimate testing right before the treasure is revealed. Think of every myth and story you know. Luke Skywalker facing Darth Vader in the cave. Neo taking the red pill. Frodo at Mount Doom. The Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree as Mara sent demons to distract him. These aren't just entertaining stories. They're archetypal patterns that play out in every genuine transformation. The greatest test always comes immediately before the breakthrough. The darkness is always deepest right before dawn. Your resistance is proof that you're close. Your doubt is evidence that something within you knows this is real, and that knowledge terrifies the part of you that has built its entire identity around limitation. Welcome this resistance, honor it, and then make the choice to move through it anyway. The universe operates on perfect timing, not human timing. Your logical mind wants everything to happen according to your schedule, your plan, your timeline. But the quantum field operates according to principles of harmony, synchronization, and optimal orchestration that your limited perspective cannot fully comprehend. What seems like delay from your perspective is actually divine coordination from the quantum perspective. Imagine trying to describe an entire symphony to someone who can only hear one note at a time. That's the limitation of trying to understand divine timing from the human perspective. You're hearing one note and judging it as too slow, too quiet, too dissonant, not realizing that it's part of a perfect composition that's building toward a crescendo. This is the core reframe you must integrate. Delay is not denial. Every apparent setback, every closed door, every period of silence is not the universe saying no. They're divine incubation periods, where unseen forces are arranging circumstances for optimal outcome. You are not waiting for manifestation. You are existing in the sacred pregnancy just before the birth. Think about pregnancy. Would you judge a woman as failing because she hasn't given birth in month 6? Would you tell her that her baby is never coming because it's taking so long? No, you understand that there's a natural gestation period, that the baby is forming, that cells are dividing and organizing, that organs are developing, and that birth will happen exactly when the baby is fully formed. Ready. Your manifestations work the same way. There's an invisible gestation period where quantum possibilities are solidifying into physical form. During this period, nothing appears to be happening from your limited sensory perspective, but everything is happening in the invisible realm. Atoms are being arranged. Circumstances are being orchestrated. People are being moved into position. Resources are being aligned. Your only job during this period is to maintain your frequency, to hold your vision, to trust the process, to remain in receiving energy rather than collapsing back into wanting energy, or worse, giving up energy. Chaos isn't the opposite of order. This is a crucial understanding that most people miss. Chaos is the fertile ground from which new orders emerge. When your life seems to be falling apart, when structures you relied on are crumbling, when nothing makes sense anymore, you're not experiencing destruction. You're experiencing reorganization at a higher level of complexity. Scientists call this chaos theory or complexity science. Before a system can evolve to a higher order, it must first pass through a period of chaos where the old order breaks down. Think of water molecules as ice. They're locked in a rigid structure. As the temperature rises, that structure must break down into the chaos of liquid water before it can reorganize into the freedom of vapor. The liquid phase looks like disorder compared to the ice, but it's actually a transition to a higher state. Your reality is dismantling outdated structures to make space for configurations that can support your expanded identity. The job you lost wasn't a failure. It was a liberation from a structure too small to contain your growing potential. The relationship that ended wasn't a rejection. It was a completion, making space for a partnership that matches your elevated frequency. The financial crisis wasn't a punishment. It was a demolition of old scarcity patterns, so new abundant structures can emerge. When you can see chaos as creative reorganization rather than destructive randomness, you stop resisting it and start flowing with it. You stop trying to control and start learning to trust. You recognize that the universe isn't punishing you or testing you. It's upgrading you. The secret that separates the 1% from everyone else lies in the identity shift. Most people identify as someone who is trying to manifest. Listen to the language they use. I'm working on manifesting. I'm trying to attract. I'm hoping to receive. This posture broadcasts lack and effort, the very frequencies that delay the collapse point. This trying identity is the old reality. You must kill it. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibrational signature. And the vibration of trying is fundamentally different from the vibration of being. Trying implies separation from the desired outcome. Being implies unity with it. You are being invited to identify as someone who naturally attracts their desires. This shift is not about action. It's about being. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more. It's about inhabiting the version of yourself for whom your desires are normal, natural, expected outcomes. Here is the life-altering practice. Stop visualizing what you want. Instead, begin visualizing yourself as someone who naturally receives what they desire. This is subtle but crucial. Don't see the money, the relationship, the success as separate from you. Something out there that you're trying to pull toward you. Instead, see yourself as someone for whom money flows naturally, relationships flourish effortlessly, success is expected. See yourself moving through life with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the universe supports them. Feel the energy of being someone for whom manifestation flows effortlessly. Not because you're special, but because you're aligned. Not because you're lucky, but because you're coherent. Not because you're chosen, but because you've chosen yourself. This identity shift is the secret that the most successful manifestors understand intuitively. They don't waste energy trying to manipulate circumstances or control outcomes. They simply become the version of themselves who naturally experiences what they desire. And then they let the universe handle the how and the when. You must rise up to the level of being that matches your dreams. You must choose the response that your expanded self would choose in every moment, thereby strengthening the quantum entanglement between your current self and your destiny. When faced with a decision, any decision, ask yourself, what would the version of me who already has what I desire choose in this moment? Then choose that, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it seems illogical, even if it scares you. This receiving energy activates the power of quantum entanglement. Your consciousness has become entangled with your desires. The moment you truly let go, the invisible threads connecting you to your manifestation begin to vibrate with receiving energy rather than wanting energy. Wanting energy operates from lack, from the assumption that you don't yet have what you desire. It's a frequency of separation, of distance, of not yet. When you want something, you're affirming its absence from your current reality. You're telling the universe, I don't have this, and that's painful, and I need you to bring it to me. The universe, being the perfect mirror, reflects that lack back to you. You're right, you don't have it. Receiving energy operates from abundance, from the knowing that what belongs to you is already yours in the quantum field, simply waiting to materialize in physical form. It's a frequency of unity, of possession, of it is done. When you're in receiving energy, you've already accepted your desire in consciousness. You know it's yours. You're just waiting for the three-dimensional reality to catch up with the higher dimensional truth. This isn't metaphor. This is measurable science. Your thoughts and emotions generate powerful electromagnetic frequencies that interact with the quantum field. Every thought produces a measurable electrical impulse in your brain. Every emotion produces a measurable electromagnetic signature from your heart. The HeartMath Institute has proven that the heart generates an electromagnetic field far more powerful than the brain's, extending up to 8 feet from your body. This means you're literally walking around in an electromagnetic bubble that interacts with other people's electromagnetic fields and with the larger quantum field itself. This field changes dramatically based on your emotional state. Gratitude, for example, vibrates at a coherent 540 Hz. Fear vibrates at 100 Hz. Love vibrates at 528 Hz. Shame vibrates at 20 Hz. These aren't arbitrary numbers. They're measurable frequencies that have real effects on your biology and your reality. When you align your personal frequency with the frequency of your desires, you create what physicists call constructive interference, where the waves amplify each other rather than canceling each other out. Think of it like tuning a radio. Your desired reality is already broadcasting at a specific frequency. When you tune yourself to that same frequency through elevated emotion, aligned thought, conscious breath, and intentional focus, you suddenly can receive the transmission clearly. The signal was always there. You just weren't tuned to the right station. In quantum physics, particles can pass through barriers that classical physics says should be impossible to penetrate. An electron can literally tunnel through a wall without breaking it, appearing on the other side as if the barrier never existed. This phenomenon, called quantum tunneling, is responsible for nuclear fusion in stars and the operation of modern electronic devices. Your consciousness is about to experience its own version of this, where you suddenly pass through barriers that should be impossible to cross, finding yourself on the other side of limitations that seemed absolutely solid just moments before. You'll look back and wonder how you got from point A to point Z without hitting all the obstacles you expected to encounter along the way. This is quantum tunneling in consciousness, the ability to collapse the distance between where you are and where you want to be. The version of you living your desired reality, your future self, has been sending signals back through time, creating the synchronicities and opportunities that have been appearing in your life. This isn't science fiction. It's quantum mechanics. Studies at the Weizmann Institute have shown that measurements in the present can literally affect measurements that were made in the past. Time isn't as linear as your human perception suggests. Your future self is already living your desired reality. That version of you is sending information backwards through time, creating breadcrumbs, signs, synchronicities, and opportunities in your current timeline. Those coincidences you keep noticing? They're not coincidences. They're your future self reaching back to guide your present self toward the timeline where you're already united. The key to navigating this is understanding entanglement entropy. Your consciousness has become maximally entangled with your desired reality. The information exchange between your current self and your expanded self has reached the point where your system must reorganize. You cannot go back to the previous level of complexity. The only way forward is emergence into a higher order of being. In quantum information theory, entanglement entropy measures the degree of quantum entanglement between subsystems. When entanglement entropy reaches a maximum, the system must undergo a phase transition, a sudden reorganization into a new configuration. This is exactly what's happening in your consciousness right now. You've accumulated so much quantum information, you've made so many aligned choices, you've elevated your frequency so consistently that your system can no longer maintain its old configuration. It's like filling a balloon with water. There comes a point where the balloon must either expand to accommodate the pressure or burst entirely. Your consciousness is expanding to accommodate the new information, the new frequency, the new identity. The discomfort you might be feeling isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something right. It's the growing pains of expansion, the birth pains of emergence, the death throes of the old identity giving way to the new. The moment you are truly ready to receive, when your inner frequency matches the outer desire, is the moment you create a phase lock with your ideal timeline. In signal processing, Phase lock is when two oscillating signals become synchronized, vibrating in perfect harmony. When your personal frequency phase locks with your desired reality's frequency, manifestation becomes inevitable. Not possible, not probable, but inevitable. This is the moment of manifestation, the point where potential collapses into certainty, where the invisible becomes visible, where the quantum becomes classical. This is what all the waiting has been building toward. This is what every challenge has been preparing you for. This is what every delay has been perfectly timing you for. You must now declare your final coherence. Take a breath right now and feel deep within yourself that you are ready. Connect with the deepest truth within you. This moment is a declaration to the quantum field that you are stepping out of wanting energy and into receiving energy. The phenomenon you are experiencing right now is your consciousness beginning to phase lock with your desired timeline. This synchronization process creates a phase transition, a sudden reorganization where the system jumps from one stable state to another. Think of water becoming ice, or the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. The transformation is inevitable because the energy has built to the critical threshold. You don't see the caterpillar gradually becoming a butterfly, one cell at a time. Instead, the caterpillar dissolves completely into liquid inside the chrysalis, its old form entirely deconstructed before reorganizing into something completely new. From the outside, the chrysalis appears still, dormant, unchanging. But inside, the most dramatic transformation in nature is occurring. You are the caterpillar in the chrysalis right now. Your old form is dissolving. Your new form is being assembled at the quantum level. From the outside, it may appear that nothing is happening. You may feel like you're in limbo, in darkness, in the void. But inside, at the energetic level, you are being completely reconstructed. Trust the process. The transformation isn't happening to you. It's happening through you, as you, for you. You are both the caterpillar and the chrysalis and the butterfly. You are the old self dying, the container holding the transformation, and the new self being born. All three, simultaneously. But your personal transformation isn't just about you. It's about contributing to the collective awakening that's happening on this planet. Your individual choice to live from receiving energy is contributing to the critical mass effect for the collective phase transition. Scientists have discovered that when a critical percentage of a population adopts a new behavior, it suddenly spreads to the entire population. This tipping point varies, but research suggests it's somewhere between 10 and 20%. We're approaching that critical mass right now, where enough individuals have awakened to their quantum creative power that the collective consciousness of humanity is ready to shift. Your choice to step into your power isn't just personal. It's political, it's social, it's evolutionary. Every time you choose love over fear, abundance over scarcity, trust over control, you're casting a vote for the new paradigm. You're adding your frequency to the collective field. You're helping to tip the scales toward awakening. The old paradigm operated on competition, separation, scarcity, and control. The new paradigm operates on collaboration, unity, abundance, and trust. The old paradigm saw humans as separate from nature, separate from each other, separate from the divine. The new paradigm recognizes that we are nature, we are each other. We are the divine expressing itself in infinite forms. You are not just healing yourself. You're healing your lineage. You're breaking generational patterns of limitation. You're rewriting the collective story of what's possible for humans. You're proving that ordinary people can access extraordinary states of consciousness and create extraordinary realities. The depth of this frequency mastery, however, extends far beyond what we can explore in this single transmission. While we've touched on these fundamental principles today, There is an entire quantum framework of 9 master frequencies that govern how consciousness creates reality itself. Each frequency corresponds to a specific level of consciousness, a specific vibrational bandwidth, a specific creative power. As you master each frequency, you unlock new capabilities, new perceptions, new possibilities. It's like learning to play an instrument. First you learn individual notes, then chords, then songs, then you're composing symphonies. In my complete guide, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery, I reveal the precise, step-by-step practices for moving from unconscious manifestation to becoming the broadcast itself, transforming from seeking to being. This complete system is linked in the pinned comment below for those ready to explore the complete framework. This isn't information you need. This is information that, if you're truly ready, will need you. It will call to you. It will magnetize you. And if you feel that magnetic pull, if something in you recognizes this as the missing piece you've been searching for, then follow that knowing. Your future self is reaching back through time right now, guiding you toward the resources that will accelerate your transformation. Trust what is unfolding. Embrace what is coming. Return to this frequency not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent with this frequency of conscious creation. Every time you remind yourself of these principles, every time you choose alignment over unconsciousness, you strengthen the neural pathways of your new identity. The more of us who live from this place of knowing, the more the world reflects that truth back to us through miraculous synchronicities. You'll start noticing that doors open effortlessly. Opportunities appear from nowhere. The right people show up at the right time. Resources flow toward you rather than away from you. This isn't luck. This is alignment. This isn't magic. This is quantum mechanics. Your breakthrough is closer than your next breath. Literally. In the gap between this breath and the next, in that 0.3-second quantum window, you have the power to completely rewire your reality. You have the power to choose the expanded identity. You have the power to collapse new possibilities into certain outcomes. Now that you understand how your consciousness collapses possibilities into certainty, you need to understand the single principle that makes quantum manifestation work backwards from everything you have been taught. That is the subject of our next transmission. We'll be exploring the principle of retrograde causation, where your future literally creates your present, where effect precedes cause, where your manifestation pulls you toward it, rather than you pushing toward your PERD. Manifestation. Until then, remember, you are not a wave. You are the ocean expressing itself as a wave.